Alright, I am now back at home after the Lyrical Cup. I've also slept and enjoyed a bit of my Sunday morning. Now let's get down and talk about Dear Days 2, which randomly was... So it wasn't actually announced at the Lyrical event, they just put up the posters because at the same time over at Tokyo Big Sight, which is basically Japan's biggest venue, they have a Korokoro festival. So I can actually show you over here, NAC is at the festival right now or over this weekend, and they basically announced it here. So Korokoro is basically Shonen Jump for kids, so it's basically like a children's oriented like game show, so it's like TGS for kids, I guess you could think of it. But basically it was announced at this event and they essentially then put up the post at the same time at the Lyrical Cup that I was at, and that's where, you know, word started to pick up, and then the official website actually went up. So ever since I got back, the full trailer actually came out as well, so I was thinking we would take a look at that and see what is actually in here. So it's actually English one, so English release is also confirmed. So let's take a look here. I might have to put the volume down a little bit, but let's have a look-see. All right, so you got the digital game that lets you play Vanguard on Nintendo Switch and Steam, which by the way does not have crossplay once again, which I think we'll break down all of those details in a bit. But you can hear already the voice from, well, Ichidoji Yuki technically, but I think to the majority of us, she's now more Nao than Yuki. So you can see here a bit of the UI. I think I already wrote this on social media that I'm personally not the biggest fan of. So something's kind of changed. You can kind of see like the top left seems like it's a bit smaller. But then if I move my camera, here, I'll move my camera to this side. You can kind of already see some of the, so damage is already misspelled damage. So of course it is in development. So hopefully it's no longer damage when the game comes out. And then I'm not a big fan of these like circular social media icon looking profile pictures. I feel like I preferred it the way it was boxed in Dear Days 1, but you know, that's just me kind of talking. So here you can see the drive checks look about the same. Ichidoji Yuki is still our protagonist, and we have this new character, Otawa Dosaki. So I really like her design. I believe she is designed by Ito Akira sensei, the original, you know, creator of Vanguard. So she looks beautiful, honestly. Very, very good design. I'm assuming whatever her boss unit is will probably be like the physical edition's like promo card or whatever. So she's voiced by Moemi, who I'm not really sure who Moemi is, but I saw she was posting on social media and whatnot. So we have some other new characters. So this is Kisato Kuga. This guy is voiced by Maeda Seiji. Yet another character voiced by Maeda Seiji. I think guy? I'm assuming, I mean, Maeda Seiji is a guy at least. So then we have Gaku Nijo, voiced by Shimono Hiro. So another new character that seems to like change forms, has like a green and a green-haired and a black-haired form. Then of course the Divine's characters are all here in the art style of Dear Days 2. Pretty happy about future Hikari as well, of course. I think a lot of people's favorite character from Divines in general. But you see all of the characters, you see of course Divine skills, Akina himself, but this is the first part where I have to really pause and talk about for a second. The card pool. So this is something that I didn't initially realize from just the poster, but as soon as the trailer came out, it does say it's up to Lyrical Monasterio's Sparkling Stars, which is this pack right here. So that's not great, because you have to keep in mind that this game comes out in January, end of January, which in Japan, we don't even know what booster packs will be out by that time. But even in English, this is after Divine Set 5 and after Night Rose and Harry Stride deck sets come out. So that means that they are purposefully making the card pool match the card pool of like English September, if I'm not mistaken, / Japanese July. So overall, it's really not that great. The card pool is already lagging behind, which is like the exact same thing that we had in Divine, like Dear Days 1. And I'm personally not very excited about this. I feel like they could really be doing better than this. But so that's the first big discussion point. And immediately they slap into it. Future cards will also be added through additional download content. So it's gonna be another wave of like, you know, how expensive were the passes again? Let me take a look. So Dear Days itself, you know, is normally 58.99 euros. And then right now it's on like a huge discount, so it's kind of hard to like say what is what. But if we take a look at it, right, these are the additional passes, and they basically, the additional passes cost as much as the game, like 51 euros. Are you kidding me? So having to buy these additional passes that at retail cost, you know, 50 euros were not exactly the greatest. You know, like characters and cosmetics, I will never complain about being like DLC, because it's like, it's cosmetics, you don't need them to play the game, right? But cards, like, you do want to have the most updated stuff. So that's why people say like Dear Days as a game, its price really built up to like, you know, hundreds, I think, you know, almost $200, especially if you want all the character skins, then you're easily going into like $200 like area. So it's also funny because right now they're doing like a 30% sale to celebrate the game coming out, but we'll talk about that a bit later. Let's finish this trailer first. So DLC already confirmed. So you got yourself, I mean, it's like, it's nice to see the updated card pool. A lot of people are saying that like probably creating energy and adding like the energy system into the game was too much to justify like just slapping as a DLC. But also, you know, they basically decided to remake the entire game, which is like, you know, at the end of the day, it's really not that hard for them to remake it. But yeah, online battles, again, this is so far looking the same as Dear Days 1. This doesn't necessarily tell us that there will be like ranked rewards. It's going to be just online battles basically, or like tournaments and stuff. There is an interesting detail on this screen though. I'd like to point out these deck boxes were not a thing in Dear Days 1, which feels like it might be another cosmetic. So maybe this is like you can purchase deck boxes in game now. I mean, it's fine if it's just cosmetics, but they're only going to show up during your like versus screen and that's it. The versus screen itself looks pretty nice, I guess. So, you know, cool stuff. But the UI itself hasn't really changed too much. Like, you know, obviously units have their effect. There's nothing too crazy on this screen in terms of like, you know, there's like story preview and like all the other battle screens. But yeah, you can see here, well, the best Vanguard digital card game of the century. I don't know about that. I think my boy Vang Pro, created by one man, might be still a little better here, but... So here you go. Release date scheduled to be released on January 30th, 2025. And then what's interesting is that... Give it a second. Bushiro the games it. So there's no Furyu. The basically, you know, publisher of the previous game, Furyu, is no longer here. So it's just Bushiro Games. Furyu's name is not written anywhere, which is kind of interesting. So that also makes you question if maybe all of these strange decisions were never Furyu's fault and they were always just Bushiro's, but who knows? So that was the trailer. What was interesting is that on the official Twitter, they actually wrote that there are pre-orders for the Switch physical edition. So physical edition, like on the English Twitter, which is kind of interesting. That's like a first. And so then of course they have their website, which kind of goes over a lot of the details that people have been talking about online. So basically, you know, this is kind of like the stuff that you would expect to see in terms of like their little description. Highly acclaimed Dear Days returns with a massive upgrade, and the upgrade is literally just the energy system. And for some reason, the circles are very wide apart now. Like, it feels like they just made the space between the units a lot wider. And then it's kind of funny here, the text, like sorry, this is just me nitpicking, but the exclamation mark kind of like goes under the picture, which I feel like you just minimize the font size here, but you know, I digress. So over 3,000 playable cards, going all the way from BTO 1 to the Divine's Lyrical Booster. So addition of around 500 cards from the latest Divine series. There are over 3,000 playable cards. So for those of you that don't know, Dear Days 1 basically only went up to DBT, I want to say 11-ish. So they basically added, you know, upgraded Eva and stuff like that. But then it didn't really go beyond that. So we never got like Verena support, like all of like the, you know, Youthberg final form and all that kind of stuff, right? So you can kind of see here, like it basically ended around here, Festival Booster and the Clash of Heroes. But then it didn't really like, I don't think we ever got Orphis masks, if I'm not mistaken, and of course the Flight of Chakrabarti, like the last year's world set, also was not in it. And so basically there was a lot of stuff missing, and the way they did the DLC at the very end made it feel like, are they like, did they just stop? Did they give up on Dear Days? Like, is it not making enough money anymore? And then turns out they were making a whole new game at the time. So story wise, I mean, there's always one of the big selling factors, I guess, of these games is that, you know, there's gonna be a new story, new character. I like the new character. I hope she gets like a starter deck or something going forward, because she's very, very cute, very good design. So character designs by Ito Akira Sensei, so of course, the creator of original Vanguard. Story supervised by Bushiroad, and the protagonist of the previous game, Ishidoji Yuki, will also be here. And then of course, the owners of the Fated One cards from Divines will also be in the game, which I mean goes without saying, I guess. So not only will they play an active role in the story, but they can also be selected as playable characters. Wow, that's crazy. So here you have all the original characters, I guess, not necessarily just new characters, but you can also see all of the other ones here. So really nice again to see like all of the Divines cast basically in here, which is good. And then you also have the Will Dress cast, and the Dear Days characters are basically back as well. We'll see if they have like any kind of changed designs or not. And then here at the bottom you have the trailer, and finally the product description. So here you can see it releases, for some reason they're obsessed with Thursdays. I remember all the Dear Days DLCs would always drop on a Thursday, and the game will also release on a Thursday. So it's a single player / 1 to 2 player online card game. Languages will be Japanese and English, so again, confirmation of the English release. Systems are Switch and Steam, but does not support crossplay. Why is it like you have one of the big negative factors of this, you know, of this entire series of Dear Days, and you still refuse to address it? Like it's can it really be that hard? Like just implement crossplay. Like you're asking us to pay $70 and you're not gonna give us crossplay. So that's what's on the website basically. And so of course you can kind of tell from my tone already, but a lot of the existing player base is not exactly too happy, right? No crossplay, $70, starting over, assume no spectating. So we don't actually know yet if there's no spectating or not. Like to me, the two big factors I really want to see is spectating added, and I also want to see actual ranked rewards, like something, anything, whether it's just like a playmat in game or whatever, like just anything that actually rewards you for grinding ranked. So, you know, she says, trust me, I want to be excited and I really want this game to thrive, but the point of making a second one is to fix those issues, and this doesn't do that, right? So I think there's also this question of, well, you know, you have this game you're re-releasing, and a lot of us bought the original and then also bought all the DLC and spent over $100, you know, on the game. Some of us bought it twice, you know, I bought the Switch version just for the promo cards. And, you know, we don't actually, it's like we don't even get the a confirmation of if our, like, you know, if we have, let's say if I buy the game on Steam, does my save progress move over? Do all the cards that I made and crafted move over? Probably not, right? It's probably going to be starting from zero. The Japanese side does name the 3 promo cards here. So the only thing that is on the website for the Japanese side that is not on the, you know, the version of the English website is the pre-order bonuses. So of course you get the promo cards if you buy the game online or if you pre-order it. So you have, if you buy it on Amazon, you get a digital wallpaper. If this was a playmat, that'd be very cool, but doesn't look like it is. Looks like if you pre-order it in Big Camera or Soft Map, you get a B2 tapestry of the new character. So B2 is like the ones I have in the back basically. If you pre-order on Ami, you get a Hikari, so adult Hikari, acrylic key holder. Then here we have can badges. I never like can badges. And then you have an A3 tapestry. A3 should be smaller than B2 if I'm not mistaken. So this one's with all the characters. So pretty disappointing, because Amazon for Dear Days 1 gave you the playmat of like Dear Days 1 as a like playmat of all the characters, which is kind of cool. This would have looked amazing as a playmat, so it's quite unfortunate they didn't do it. So that's for the physical version for the Switch in Japan. So we'll see if, you know, they do anything, if these promos happen in English or not, we'll see. But they're probably going to reveal them still, you know, after a few, they say like in the future days, right? And then of course, you know, you have this thing that they're doing a 30% discount on all Dear Days content on, you know, on Steam. And of course people are like, well, why are you still trying to sell the original game if you're releasing a new one? And the one expectation is that like, well, maybe things will cross, you know, you'll be able to, you know, transfer over your data, but I kind of doubt it. If they can't program crossplay, they probably are not really thinking about that either. But overall, for me, it's a bit of a difficult position because I love Vanguard as a franchise, and I generally speaking touch everything Vanguard related. So for example, you know, like I played Zero, I played all of the DS games, all of the 3DS games I played EX, basically. We played through Dear Days as well. It's like I enjoyed going through the stories of those games because especially Dear Days had some really fun and challenging fights that, you know, for me as a content creator, they make for good stream and video content. So I'm still gonna get Dear Days 2, I'm still gonna play through the whole thing, but it's once again like unlike the DS and EX, all of those games when they released with the up-to-date card pool at the time, but then they didn't do DLC with future sets. Now, I think the reason why they don't want to do an up-to-date card pool is because they don't want to impact their sales of physical cards. But I personally think that that's a very outdated way of thinking, because at the end of the day, actual Vanguard players that have a locals that play the physical game and spend money on the physical game tend to just not get this game at all, right? Deer Days, I think, didn't really I didn't know too many people that played physical Vanguard that got Deer Days because they were like, well, what's the point? I can't even playtest on it. So you lose that entire audience. So the majority of the people buying Deer Days are content creators, streamers, people that live in areas that have no card game, like card shops in general, or don't have a Vanguard scene locally, or they want to play Vanguard on the go. And like, yes, you do get those kind of audiences now thanks to this, but it's like, do you really, I feel like the fear of damaging physical sales is so irrelevant now, because people, you know, they've already been playing and investing into the physical card game. It's not like they're going to suddenly stop buying cards just because you released this game on like with an updated card pool, at least for English. And then it's like, if they release the game and then 1 month later, you know, add DLC for like Divine Set 4 when we're already on like Divine Set 6 or 7, it's like, I don't know, it's so weird to me when Divine Season 2 will have finished airing, so the Destined ones will have like finished being the main feature and attraction of like the current attention span of most Vanguard players, but then this game won't even have the Destined ones in it, and then we're gonna have to get excited about it all over again. It's like, you're basically releasing a game which is gonna be like, basically like in peak Shoujo Doji meta, and you know, that's no problem with that, right? It's a fun meta, it's all good. But for me, it just feels like kind of strange to once again be doing the same mistakes as last time, which in my opinion really affected like the overall hype for the game. But I will pick it up, I will play it. I'm also going to Tokyo Game Show in later in September, and I mean, Bouchard usually has a booth at Tokyo Game Show, so if they have like a playtest version of Deer Days 2, I definitely record something. I'm applying for like an official like content creator pass so that I can have like, you know, I can have my camera with me and, you know, be able to record these things. So if they have a Deer Days 2 demo at Tokyo Game Show, I'll definitely record it and show it off to see what kind of differences there are, because for now it doesn't seem like there's that many. The main thing that we saw on the poster that I took a video of earlier was the deck building menu being very, very different looking, and honestly way better looking too. So I think I'll still be making Deer Days content when Deer Days 2 comes out. Until then, definitely don't. I do get comments sometimes asking, it's like, oh, will you do the Deer Days DLC that released in spring? Like, will you cover those decks? And I basically, you know, decided like the game's just too outdated. There's no point. Like, people aren't really gonna watch it. But so you can look forward to that. I overall just feel like once Deer Days 2 comes out, I'll definitely play it as long as there's like enough attention towards it. And I do look forward to playing through the story of it. And I'll pick up, you know, both Steam and Switch versions, I guess, because I want the promos that come with the Switch version, which will probably be like just new Vanguard units and maybe like a foil energy generator or something. That'd be very cool. But otherwise, I don't know. It's definitely leaves quite a few questions and hopes. I really hope they address people's concerns. I hope they add spectating. I hope they add rank rewards. Crossplay, they already said, is not going to happen, but at the very least address the other things that people have been asking for during Deer Days 1. Because if you don't, I think Deer Days 1 probably sold quite well, and that's what funded this, just because it was the first ever English release Vanguard video game, right? Until then, EX and the 3DS ones were all Japanese only. But so I think because of the fact that they had the first English physical release, it sold really well on, you know, probably places like Steam and whatnot. But I think now you're releasing a game that people know was not very good for their wallets, was not very, like, had very, very unfriendly DLC policies, and overall just felt outdated pretty quickly. And, you know, just there's definitely quite a few complaints that people had with Deer Days. So now they're releasing Deer Days 2, you got to keep in mind that the people that know what Deer Days 1 was like, if you don't address their concerns, they're probably not going to buy the game again. So I hope to see that Bouchard Games actually does try to address those things. On the Japanese side, I did see a lot of people were quite excited for it, and I think a lot of people do look at these games as just like the World Championship Yu-Gi-Oh games, or just like, I'm just playing for the story kind of thing. So we'll see. We'll see. I think overall, for those of you asking if your DLC like sets that you bought will carry over, this game will have all of the sets unlocked by default, from the D set 1 all the way to Divine's Lyrical Booster. So that also includes Divine's sets 1, 2, and 3. But after after that, you're gonna probably have to buy all the DLCs again, and hopefully not for as expensive as last time. But we'll see. We'll see what they decide to do. Anyway, that's enough of my thoughts and impressions and rambling. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll probably talk about Dear Days 2 more going forward once we get more information and whatnot. So whenever there's any kind of information from the Tuesday streams, you can probably expect to have a video for that. And again, if they do demo the game at Tokyo Game Show, I'll definitely cover it as well, but we'll see if Bushiroad does prepare it for that. It does look pretty much ready for a test play at the very least from the trailer that we see. So we'll see how things plan out. But for now, that's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you haven't already, please do subscribe as well. And if you want some bonus content, some first-person perspective fight videos, I do upload those as channel member exclusive videos that you can also check out by becoming a channel member. But with that, that's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.